Right now, we're getting our first look at what black box data says was behind this month's fatal crash in Ethiopia that killed hundreds and led to planes being grounded around the world.
And students on the UW campus are looking for another way to report sexual assaults after the university rejected the use of a reporting app.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now This Morning.
Good morning and welcome to News 3 Now This Morning. You made it to a Friday, March 29th. Hattie's still off for her spring break and Leah has the morning off. So we have the boys in. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
The boys are back in town.
The boys are back in town. And the sunshine is as well.
Yeah, we're going to see more of that as we go through the morning. I know the sun's starting to rise for us here in South Central Wisconsin. We're going to continue to watch that sunrise through time. I hope the sun comes up anyway. But anyways, temperatures are at 34 degrees, so we are colder than we were at this time yesterday. Winds are out of the north and northwest at 3 miles per hour. 34 for our friends in Janesville as well. Milwaukee at 39. Wautoma at 28. So you see there's just a little bit of everything for us. Black River Falls at 19. But all these temperatures are colder because a cold front did come through yesterday. In fact, we're anywhere from about 5 to 20 degrees colder than 24 hours ago, depending on where you are. And we're going to keep that northerly wind around all day long. So that's going to help those temperatures stay in a little bit of a colder note, but that also keeps the air drier. So as a system comes our way from the south and west, it's going to have a hard time producing any rainfall over us. It'll probably be better at cloud cover. Speaking of cloud cover, there's not a lot over the state right now. For the most part, we are clear. There is some cloud cover back to our south and west. That'll be streaming in later on throughout the morning and into the afternoon. Temperature-wise, I think we will shape up right around 52 degrees later on, so do be prepared for that. Traffic-wise, I do want to go ahead and let you know, if you are getting ready to head out the door, that there are no big issues that are showing up. This is the Beltline at Park Street right now, just moving along with no major crashes or delays.
Had the windows open yesterday,
Yeah,
and it's
right?
just, oh, so nice to have some fresh air, isn't it?
You know, I got in my car yesterday and it was hot and I had to roll down the windows to let the heat out, and I was excited.
I'm hoping we can get used to this.
Seriously,
too.
we'll see.
Yeah. Thank you, Chris.
My pleasure.
Well, just into the Channel3000.com Alert Center overnight, data from the black boxes in this month's fatal plane crash in Ethiopia shows a flight control feature automatically activated just before the plane crashed. That's according to the Wall Street Journal. It's the same automatic system malfunction being blamed in a similar crash involving a Boeing 737 MAX 8 jet last year. That system automatically lowers the nose of the plane when it receives information from sensors outside the plane that it's at risk of stalling. Earlier this week, Boeing unveiled an overhaul of its software system and how pilots are trained on the 737 MAX jets. The company is now facing a wrongful death lawsuit filed on behalf of one of the victims' estates.
The president says the collusion delusion is over. That's the message he has for supporters this morning after rallying in Michigan last night. President Trump continues to claim that the Attorney General's summary of a 300-page special counsel investigation completely exonerates him. Attorney General Barr says that report does not prove the president did not commit a crime. Mr. Trump, though, continued to criticize Democrats last night in Michigan, including the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, Adam Schiff. On Twitter yesterday, the president said Schiff should be forced to resign. And meanwhile, Democratic leaders like Nancy Pelosi, who you just saw there, say they may subpoena the report if it's not released by Tuesday.
More local news at 6:04 this morning. Madison police are looking for the people who beat a woman after dragging her out of a van yesterday afternoon. The 45-year-old woman agreed to give a ride to 3 people, then things got violent while she was driving along East Johnson Street. Police say a man and woman pulled the woman from the van, punched her, and smashed her head into a window. A concerned passerby called 911, and the woman was taken to the hospital for head injuries. Police are still looking for her attackers.
Students at UW-Madison are working on a new solution when it comes to reporting sexual assaults. This after the university turned down a request to bring an app to campus. Student Title IX Advisory Committee member Petra Wallach proposed the school make Callisto available last year. That app gives students multiple options for reporting sexual assaults. Those include submitting time-stamped records of the incident, reporting that incident if another victim says they've been assaulted by the same person, or sending a report directly to administrators. In an email, the Dean of Students says Callisto does not prioritize the issue the UW is dealing with. and that it only serves undergrads. Wallich disagrees.
What was most disappointing is that the 3 reasons that were listed for not adopting Callisto with the 3-year pilot program were all reasons that were not, rooted in truth.
According to Callisto, students on campuses that use that app are 6 times more likely to report an assault and 3 times more likely to seek out help. The odds are also better of catching repeat offenders. 1 in 4 women at the UW and 1 in 3 students who identify as transgender or gender nonconforming say they have been sexually assaulted on campus.
A new report says nearly $193 million will not go to Wisconsin's public schools this year because that money is being used by voucher and charter schools. Voucher schools are private schools where students can offset their tuition using state subsidies, and charter schools operate outside of the state system but still receive government funding. The analysis was prepared by the Legislative Fiscal Bureau at the request of Democratic Representative Sandy Pope. It was released yesterday as the Joint Finance Committee is set to begin revising the governor's budget. Currently, Governor Evers' calls for the capping of voucher enrollment in 2021 and eliminating income tax deduction for private school tuition.
This morning, there is a report out saying the average American cannot afford a home in more than 70% of the country. That study looked at more than 470 counties across the United States and found more than 330 of them listed median home prices that are more than what the average person can pay for. Here in Dane County, someone earning a standard salary would have to shell out about 40 cents of each dollar they earn to buy a house. People living in New York City and San Francisco have to spend more than 100% of their income to pay for their home. Chicago, Cleveland, and Detroit were among the cities where homes were considered to be affordable. Now, the news doesn't get much better with gas prices as they keep going up. They are up again in Madison overnight to about $2.67 a gallon. That is still under the nationwide average of $2.69 a gallon. That cost, though, has gone up by more than 50 cents in a little more than a month. Experts say we could see the $3 gas mark as early as sometime in May. Seasonal demand is picking up while oil-producing countries are simultaneously cutting back on production, and refineries here in the U.S. have been periodically shut down for maintenance. So speaking of driving, it's been a bit of a bumpy ride as the snow melts and uncovers a lot of potholes.
Yeah, this winter's record cold and abundance of temperature swings has made that problem even worse this year. Christina Laurie joins us live this morning along a pothole-ridden road on Madison's west side. Christina, good morning to you.
Good morning. Nearly every driver knows that sinking feeling you get when you hit a really bad pothole, and there are certainly a lot of them out here on this stretch of Raymond Road. We're just west of Verona Road. And on narrow 2-lane streets like this, those potholes are practically unavoidable. That's why this morning AAA is sharing some tips for drivers on how to avoid costly repairs. Of course, they suggest slowing down, but that aside, also inspect your tires. Make sure they're properly inflated so they can act as a cushion when you hit a pothole. Watch out for puddles too. Those often disguise deeper potholes. And listen for any strange noises or vibrations. Hitting a hard pothole can dislodge wheel weights, damage the tire or wheel, even break suspension components. Any unusual noises should be inspected immediately, but if you do damage your car, be prepared to pay up.
The average pothole repair can range anywhere from $300 to $1,500 depending on the make and model of your vehicle and what other systems might be affected or damaged by the pothole. If it's just a dented rim versus an issue with the suspension or anything else on the undercarriage of your vehicle.
Another issue AAA has been looking at over the past few years is the disappearance of spare tires in vehicles. Many newer cars don't have them anymore, so AAA recommends car shoppers ask if that's an option before you buy your next car. Maybe you can negotiate that in. Now, proactively, Madison Street Crews, they're out here. They have 6 different crews out every single day patching potholes while they're trying to repair as many streets as they can. But this winter, after this winter, you'll find even newer streets are ridden with many potholes because asphalt is made so that it has little tiny holes in it, and the moisture it collects in those contracts and expands with these fluctuating temperatures, and even newer roads can get damaged.
All right, Christina. Yeah, it has been a tough year. Thank you so much for reporting this morning.
6:10 almost your time this morning, and it is a Disney classic that's coming to life thanks in part to some help from folks up in Baraboo. Will is going to join us next with his preview of the live-action version of Dumbo that's flying into theaters this weekend.
And it might be a good movie or a good time to see a movie this weekend. Chris is keeping an eye on a chance for rain and maybe some snow tonight and tomorrow morning. He'll have his first look forecast when News 3 Now This Morning is back after this.
Happy Friday, folks. You've made it to the end of the week. Temperatures, though, are going to be a little bit colder this morning as opposed to the past couple of mornings that we have woken up. In fact, for a lot of us, it's by as much as 5 to 20 degrees colder than just 24 hours ago. The temperature in Black River Falls is, of course, the coldest at 19 degrees, but a lot of us are seeing those temperatures in the 20s and low 30s. 28 right now in Wautoma. Janesville, you guys are at 34 right now, and then we also sit at 34 here in Madison. The sun starting to rise above the horizon, and we actually have clear skies out here, so we will see some sunshine for the first part of your morning. We're going to keep that northerly wind around all day, though, and that's what's going to help keep the air drier and our temperatures a bit cooler as well. In fact, temperatures this afternoon will only top out right around 52 degrees instead of being close to 60 like we were for the past 2 days in a row. Here's the overall setup for us. That high pressure is just off to the north. Meanwhile, we have a front that is slowed down to our south, and it does have 2 regions of low pressure that are riding along that front. Those will try to increase the moisture and the rain chances for us later on. However, with the high pressure just to our north, that's going to keep the air dry. So it's going to do a better job at producing cloud cover than it does so much rain. And then eventually that high takes over going throughout the weekend. And that's going to mean more sunshine for a lot of folks here in our part of the state. Let's go ahead and time it on out for you. By lunchtime, we'll see those temperatures right around 47 degrees. Here comes that cloud cover between lunch and the peak heating of the afternoon. Temperatures top out around 52. No rain should come out of the cloud cover initially, but we will have that rain chance, say, past 9 o'clock and during the overnight hours into your Saturday. And it may be just cold enough for a wet snowflake or two to mix in if you get any rainfall, but I think that best chance is going to be along and south of the Illinois state line. We'll keep the cloud cover around throughout early Saturday, but folks, by Saturday afternoon, we start to see more sunshine returning to the picture and temperatures that will top out into the 40s before we begin to warm things up each and every day. So the coldest day is going to be tomorrow, but then we're back in the 50s and 60s as we move ahead into next week as well, or perhaps 60 by next Wednesday. There will be another rain chance Thursday and into Friday. That's cold front, but that means more high pressure returns by next weekend, perhaps with temperatures in the 60s by next Sunday. So only a couple of rain chances in our forecast. Otherwise, things are looking great. And to see if roads are looking great, let's head over to Josh Tim with your first alert traffic. Josh?
Yeah, it's a quiet start on the Beltline so far this morning. No delays to slow you down in either direction at this point. Looking at roads here in Dane County, there are a few of the usual brake lights beginning to show up on the northbound side of Runner Road approaching the Beltline ramps. No delays showing up downtown on campus. Things will start to pick up over the next hour or so. And other routes coming into the city, including the interstate, they're moving along at the posted speeds with no major crashes or delays. With your first alert traffic, I'm Josh Tim.
Thank you, Josh, and thank you, Chris. All right, this weekend, the string of Disney's live-action remakes continues with everyone's favorite flying elephant, Dumbo.
Danny DeVito, Colin Farrell, and more star in the film. And here with the previews, our film critic, Will Loper. Good morning.
Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
So 2019 is bringing a lot of Disney remakes. We've got Aladdin and The Lion King coming up. And can Tim Burton give that special magic feather touch to set them off on the right foot? Take a look.
You have something very rare. You have wonder. You have mystique. You have magic.
After discovering its baby elephant can fly, a struggling circus makes its comeback and Dumbo moves on to a new, maybe shady, entertainment venture called Dreamland.
You can do it, Dumbo. Show 'em.
Dumbo is rated PG.
It looks beautiful.
Yes. Trailer makes you hopeful for it. And they are saying it is gorgeous, beautiful production design. CGI elephant doesn't look too shabby.
Yeah, no kidding.
But reviews are kind of middling.
I knew there was a but. I knew there was a but.
I mean, the original was an hour long. This one's almost 2 hours, and they're just saying it's kind of overstuffed. But I am looking forward to Tim Burton directs, and of course he did Batman with Michael Keaton and Danny DeVito as the Penguin. He's saying there may be a little nod to that film in this, and I am looking forward to it.
Did you hear us talking yesterday, too, about the Baraboo connection here?
Oh, they did a little research for the film. So
at the Circus World Museum, which is kind of neat.
Connection to here, yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
Kind of weird seeing Danny DeVito in a film like this, but
that appeals to children, yeah. Yeah.
A little different. All right, Will, thanks so much.
Thank you, guys.
It's good to see you. All right, so social media is all about connecting, right? But it can make our kids feel more disconnected than ever. Experts say it's our job to make sure kids and teens have a place where they can just be free to be themselves. Our BU Reminders up next.
And Chris says we maybe have one more day of opening up the windows and getting some fresh air before temperatures drop over the weekend. He'll update our forecast when News 3 Now This Morning continues.
Good morning. It's shaping up to be a nice Friday for us. We are going to watch some cloud cover move in later on. There's not a lot of cloud cover out there right now. Temperatures are mainly in the 30s. We do sit at 34 degrees here in town. And that sunrise is shaping up to be one that could be rather beautiful. Now, right now, you are looking at infrared satellite. This tells us where the tallest cloud cover is. The brighter these colors, the colder those cloud tops are, and that means the higher up those clouds are. And so we don't really have a lot of cloud cover here over Madison. We have a lot of cloud cover across the Ohio Valley, but then more cloud cover starting to develop across Nebraska. That's what's going to move into our picture later on throughout the morning. We've got a couple regions of low pressure that are going to help usher in that cloud cover as well. But high pressure should supply just enough dry air to keep things rather dry for us. So cloud chances will begin to increase throughout the morning. Watch for temperatures to warm through the 40s and then top out around 52 this afternoon. Guys?
All right, Chris, thank you so much. So we are calling this latest Time for Kids effort #BU for a reason. It's because social media pressures our kids are under are not only substantial, they're also nonstop. And despite the fact that there's no off button for those apps, the experts say we are beyond banning Snapchat and Instagram altogether. So in a world where your worth can be dictated by likes and images are pushing our young users to be something they're not, Dr. Kathleen Hipke says it's our responsibility as adults to make sure there's a safe place to be different without judgment.
Make spaces for kids to really just feel comfortable being themselves, expressing themselves, just to feel like they can relax, and really sort of move around in the playground of who am I and what am I interested in without everybody looking and commenting on it.
Dr. Hipke, who is a child psychologist with SSM Health, says face-to-face interaction with other kids who have similar interests and opinions can be really important in helping a child be comfortable in their own skin. If you're a grown-up who's all about sharing the message of self-acceptance, we would love to hear from you and for you to apply to our BU Ambassador Program. That group of ambassadors will get a starter kit with giveaways and pledge cards and other resources to help encourage the kids and teens in your life to be you. Head over to channel3000.com/timeforkids for more.
I love this movement.
It is so great, and it's a good reminder for all of us. And Josh is actually going to share his BU story online in just a little bit here, so I appreciate you being willing to share that.
It's, one of those things you want to be important. You got to feel, yourself.
You got to feel special.
You do. All right. Well, we have more local news coming up, including why you might want to make sure you get some yard work done this weekend.
And we still don't know who the lucky winner of $750 million here is here in Wisconsin, but we will eventually find out. We'll tell you why and recap the day's top stories next on News 3 Now this morning.
The city of Madison says it tries to fill potholes within 24 hours, but this winter's swinging temperatures have made that nearly impossible. We talked to AAA to hopefully save you some money from paying for some costly repairs.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now this morning.
Good Friday morning, everyone, and welcome to the final half hour of News 3 Now this morning. It is just about 6:30 on this March 29th. Made it to the end of the week.
We did. We made it to the end of the week and another pretty nice day in store as well. Let's turn it over to Chris Reese with some of the best news of the morning. Hi, Chris.
Good morning, guys. That news is sunshine that we are going to see initially before some cloud cover starts to wake its way into town. So get outside and enjoy that. Our temperatures are also going to be warm enough for us as well. What you're looking at right now is not rain or snow. This is infrared cloud cover. So since the sun's not up, we can't use a visible satellite just yet. But what this does is tells us where the tallest clouds are, and where the tallest clouds are, there is rain. Obviously over Wisconsin, there's not a lot of cloud cover right now, but you do see some of that over Nebraska. That is what is going to be moving into our neck of the woods later on today and into the afternoon. In the meantime, we have high pressure staying in control for us. There's a region of low pressure to our south along that cold front, and that is going to be tracking north and east throughout the day, and that's where we'll see our cloud cover truly coming from. In the meantime, expect those temperatures to be in the 30s as you head out. 34 degrees is our temperature here in Madison. A lot of us are seeing those temperatures in the 30s, and some of them are in the upper 20s. 28 in Camp Douglas right now. The Dells are at 30. But as you plan your day, again, a beautiful start. More cloud cover later on this afternoon, and then we're going to see those highs right around 52 degrees. And if you are hitting the road, so far there are no major issues that are showing up. Here's the Beltline at Park Street. You see the cars along. Things are cruising, and I think they're going to continue to stay that way, especially with it being the last day of spring break. A lot of folks staying home or traveling home. The only slowdowns are near Stoughton Road on the east side of the Beltline. Guys?
Good news all around this morning.
Yes, yes, sir.
All right, Chris, thank you.
We want to start the news this half hour with that massive Powerball jackpot. We are waiting to hear who bought that winning ticket at a New Berlin gas station. And here in Wisconsin, we will find out who that is. That's because state law requires anyone who claims a lottery prize to be publicly identified. That's the rule around most of the country, actually. Only 6 states allow the person to remain anonymous. Carrie Heyer is a public records custodian at Madison College and says that kind of transparency is important when it comes to making sure someone legitimately won.
People start asking other questions like, is it really going to an individual who won it legitimately, or is the money being pushed around somewhere else? Well, here we know, because it's open records laws that are transparent, that the money is going for exactly the purpose it was intended for.
All right, to put this in perspective, the $768 million jackpot is enough to buy every Brewers fan at Miller Park 305 brats apiece. That's a lot of brats. The winner now has 180 days to claim the prize. The one-time cash payout would be right around $477 million before taxes, or you can receive the full amount over 29 years.
More local news at 6:32 this morning. Residents at Lake Mills Assisted Living Facility have the all clear to return to their homes after being evacuated last night. The Lake Mills Fire Department responded to the Lilac Assisted Living community on O'Neill Street just before 8 p.m. for reports of a strong gas smell. The facility was evacuated as a precaution, but crews were able to determine the smell was caused by a gas stove being left on. There were no injuries reported.
A superintendent here in Wisconsin is now requiring her staff to go through discrimination and harassment training. This after high school cheerleaders were given awards that objectified parts of their bodies. Those types of awards are now banned in the Kenosha Unified School District. This comes after cheerleading coaches at Tremper High School gave out superlative awards at a team's annual banquet, referencing the biggest breasts or behinds. Now, the ACLU got involved and called for those coaches to resign. That staff and the high school principal claimed it was all in good fun. The superintendent, though, has now also implemented a district-wide order against harassment and the failure to report it.
6:33 right now, and if you've been putting off the yard work now that the snow is gone, you might want to make sure you get some of it done this weekend. Curbside brush and yard waste collection begins Monday morning in Madison and will run through September. As a reminder, the city will not pick them up unless you separate the brush from yard waste. Brush includes trees, shrub, and bush trimmings, while yard waste covers leaves and twigs. You can find the links to the schedules for yard waste and brush pickup on the Channel 3000 mobile app.
So it's not just brush pickup that will have the street crews busy. Now Madison's crews say they cannot keep up with patching potholes after record cold and record flooding this past year.
Those potholes can, of course, leave you with a flat tire, but the damage isn't always that obvious. Christina Laurie is live on Madison's west side with other dangers and why newer cars make it harder for you to get out of that tough situation. Christina, good morning.
Good morning. So on narrow two-lane stretches of road, like this stretch of Raymond Road just west of Verona, potholes are practically unavoidable. Luckily, costly repairs ranging anywhere from $300 to $1,500 can be, as long as you follow some advice from AAA. Now, the consumer agency says you should inspect your tires. Make sure they're properly inflated so they can act as a cushion when you hit a pothole. Also, watch out for puddles. Those often disguise deep potholes. And listen for any strange noises or vibrations. Hitting a hard pothole can dislodge wheel weights, damage the tire or wheel, even break suspension components. Any unusual noises should be inspected immediately. Now, another problem AAA has been investigating is the disappearance of spare tires in newer cars. A lot of times manufacturers are replacing those with a tire inflation kit. Those come with problems of their own.
The tire inflator kit has a shorter shelf life. After a few years, it needs to actually be replaced. Otherwise, it's not going to function the way it's designed to. And it's a much more temporary fix than even, the spare tire donut would be.
AAA says that tire inflator kits will only pump up your wheels enough to get you to the nearest car repair shop. Donuts can even get you a little further, but spare tires are still your best bet. Now, we talked to Madison Streets Division, and they said that there are 6 crews out every single day patching potholes, but they've had an extremely tough time this year keeping up with the demand after a really harsh winter. Fluctuating temperatures have made potholes pop up even on newer roads.
All right, Christina Laurie reporting live for us this morning. Christina, thank you.
Keep an eye out. All right, the Brewers were able to avoid an early bump in the road with a win on opening day. We will recap all the excitement at Miller Park coming up.
And chances are you might have told your kids to put down the video games before they get a headache. It turns out doctors are telling esports gamers something similar. We'll show why they're saying esports teams might need medical training staffs like basketball or football teams when News 3 Now This Morning returns.
So we always ask you to share your morning with us, and Jan has taken us back a little bit here in Lafayette County. If you can see through the snow, you can see some of those moo cows chilling out there. And luckily, Chris has taken away, he thinks, most of our chances for snow overnight and into tomorrow.
Yeah, the picture looks nice, but no thank you.
Yeah.
All right, thank you so much for sharing, Jan. Remember, you can always post your My Morning pictures to our Channel 3000 social media pages, and we'll share them right here on the show. 6:39 right now. Esports are big business these days, and some colleges are actually offering scholarships for their esports teams like they would for their traditional athletes. Now some doctors are calling for those gamers to be treated like other college athletes because they're also suffering injuries while competing. The British Journal of Medicine found college esport players average 5 to 10 hours of game training a day, with many of them reporting some of the aches and pains in their hands, wrists, and necks, as you might expect.
Poor posture can produce exponential forces on your neck, back, shoulder. Eye fatigue is the most commonly reported complaint from these pixelated images that you see when you're playing on a computer. They're making 500 action moves per minute, so there's a lot of high-speed thinking, and I think that fatigues the eyes even further.
Researchers are telling the 80 or so colleges with esports teams that having prevention and treatment plans for those gamers will help prevent some of those injuries.
Super interesting. Brewers fans aren't hurting this morning heading into Game 2 of the season. Brewers will take on the Cardinals again at Miller Park tonight after an exciting 5-4 win on opening day. Reigning MVP Kristen Yelich gave the Brew Crew a lead with a 3-run home run in the third. It was one of 3 homers the Brewers hit on the day, including one by pitcher Yolis Chassin, making him the first Brewers pitcher ever to hit a homer on opening day. And then there was this amazing catch by Lorenzo Cain in the 9th, truly saving the game for Milwaukee and robbing the Cardinals of what would have been a game-tying home run.
Well, the last half of the Elite 8 will be decided later today. The Sweet 16 wraps up tonight with a pair of games right here on News 3 Now. Just after 6, LSU will go up against Big Ten champion Michigan State. They'll hope to join Purdue as Big Ten teams in the Elite 8. That'll be followed with the All-ACC matchup between Virginia Tech and tournament favorite Duke just after 8:30. Because of those games, News 3 Now at 6 will start at 5:30 and News 3 Now at 10 will air around 11.
It is almost 6:42. It is Friday. It'll be above 50 again. So really, it's hard to complain much about that. Chris says there is still a chance we could see some rain, but again, he's not predicting snow anymore, so that's a good thing as well. Full forecast is right up next.
But first, it is March 29th, and we want to wish a happy birthday to Emmett and all of the kids turning 3 today. Thanks for celebrating with us on News 3 Now this morning.
Good Friday, folks. We're shaping up what is going to be a nice day for us here in town before clouds move into our picture later on, along with some chances for some rain. In fact, speaking of cloud cover, I want to go ahead and show you where we are seeing cloud cover across most of the Midwest right now. None of that is over us, but we do see some cloud cover over parts of the Ohio Valley, and then more cloud cover in the high plains over parts of Nebraska. That is going to be moving into our part of the country as we go through today. But honestly, there's a lot of stuff you can see from this. I do want to point out right along parts of Kansas and Oklahoma, watch how we go from nothing and then you see a lot of cloud cover just blossom into the picture all at once. That is where we are seeing a line of thunderstorms starting to develop, and that is a part of a system that will gradually be impacting a lot of folks here in the United States. All of this being driven by the jet stream, which is pretty strong. And the way that all works, let's say you've been stuck in traffic. We've all been stuck in traffic at some point. There's that one lane that is moving faster than you are, and everyone tries to get in to that lane. Well, the atmosphere works the same way. Air at 30,000 feet is moving around 100 miles per hour. Meanwhile, the air on the ground only moving at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. So it tries to change lanes. This leads to rising air, which creates more clouds and chances for thunderstorms. Essentially, those are all regions of low pressure, which we do have underneath that strong jet stream riding along a cold front that is just to our south. So this is why we are seeing those chances for showers and thunderstorms developing, especially south of us today. High pressure, though, should supply just enough dry air to work into our favor. See, as these regions of low pressure move north, they're going to try to bring those rain chances our direction, and it may be close. Some of you might actually get a little bit of that, but that dry air is going to work its way towards the south, eventually taking over for the weekend as a whole and into early next week. So as we come closer to home, let's shape things up for you. We're at 34 degrees right now. Winds are out of the north and northwest at 3 miles per hour. All of these temperatures are colder than they were yesterday, so do be prepared for that as you step out the door. But we'll warm up towards 47 near lunchtime. Still some sunshine. Here comes that cloud cover moving in from the west, though. High temperatures will be right around 52. There will be a slight chance for showers, but that greatest chance is going to be from Madison and points southward. Most of us will actually stay dry. Cloud cover lingers throughout early on Saturday before high pressure takes over. That's going to give us plenty of sunshine, not just through the weekend, but into early next week as well. We are talking temperatures in the 50s, then returning towards temperatures in the 60s by the middle of the week. There'll be another rain chance by next Thursday before more sunshine comes into the picture next weekend. In the theme and spirit of spring break and all of this sunshine, your pet walk is Carmen in Edgerton. Look at that, just looking like she's at a beach. Just looks cool.
In the stand, yeah.
I know, it makes me want to take a vacation, Josh. We'll see those temperatures around 51.
My vacation was sure nice, so.
Yeah, it wasn't in Edgerton either. No offense to Edgerton, but the Bahamas sounds a little warmer than what we're going to be today.
Glad to have you back, though.
Yeah, it is good to be back. We've got good weather here.
Yeah.
All right, stay with us. The Morning Sprint is up next on News 3 Now This Morning.
6:51, time for the morning sprint. Chris says we might be able to dodge the rain today before a drop in temperatures. And Christina's talking about the cost of potholes and how the city's struggling to keep up with repairs.
But we start this morning in Washington, where the president is back at the White House this morning after a rally last night in Michigan. He told supporters, quote, "The collusion delusion is over," referencing the Mueller report. The president continues to claim the Attorney General's summary of the 300-page report completely exonerates him, despite the Attorney General saying the report does not exonerate him on possible obstruction of justice. Democrats say they still want to see the full report for themselves and may subpoena the report if it's not publicly released by Tuesday.
Meanwhile, the president says he is backing off his administration's plan to eliminate federal funding for the Special Olympics. Education Secretary Betsy DeVos spent days defending the proposed cuts, saying Special Olympics gets most of its funding from private donations and doesn't need the nearly $18 million from Washington. But the proposal was met with nationwide backlash, including from Special Olympics chapters right here in Wisconsin.
Well, today was supposed to be the day the United Kingdom left the European Union, but when Brexit happens is still up in the air. The European Union granted an extension for British lawmakers as they still work on an exit agreement. Britain now has until April 12th to leave the EU if lawmakers can't reach a deal, and until May 22nd if there is. Lawmakers will make another vote on that agreement today. Prime Minister Theresa May has said she'll resign as soon as the agreement is reached.
Back in Madison, today's the last day you can register while voting in person absentee. You can still vote early at some locations tomorrow and Sunday, but you will have to be registered ahead of time. We have a list of early voting locations that are open across Madison on channel3000.com. The spring election is on Tuesday.
We're starting things out on a colder note across south central Wisconsin. Most of our temperatures are in the 20s and 30s this morning. High pressure is going to keep things dry. Cloud cover brought to us by regions of low pressure along a cold front just to our south. So look for cloud cover to increase as we go through the morning and afternoon. Temperatures topping out in the low 50s.
Thanks, Chris. The Wall Street Journal says data from the black boxes in this month's fatal plane crash in Ethiopia shows a flight control feature automatically activated just before the plane crashed. It's the same automatic system malfunction being blamed in a similar crash involving a Boeing 737 MAX 8 jet last year. Earlier this week, Boeing unveiled an overhaul of its software system and how pilots are trained on the 737 MAX jets. The company is now facing a wrongful death lawsuit filed on behalf of one of the victims' estates.
Thousands of people are stranded all over the world right now after a budget airline abruptly canceled all of its flights. WOW Air shut down operations with little warning yesterday, leaving people still on both sides of the Atlantic stuck at the airport with no connecting flights. Iceland Air is offering discounted fares to help people get home, but those travelers still have to pay those fares and aren't being refunded by their WOW Air fees.
More than 2,000 Wisconsinites are preparing their resumes after Shopko announced it would close more stores around the state. The Department of Workforce Development issued an update from that Green Bay-based chain yesterday, saying another 39 stores will close in June. That's in addition to the 11 locations Shopko said it would close last month. Spectrum Transportation Services and American Supply Chain Solutions are also closing since Shopko was their only customer. In all, that means more than 2,700 workers will be out of the job.
Madison police are looking for a group of people who dragged a woman out of her van and beat her up yesterday afternoon. The 45-year-old victim agreed to give those three people a ride, and then things got violent while she was driving along East Johnson Street. The woman says she was pulled from the van, punched, and smashed. Her head was smashed into a window as well. A concerned passerby called 911. The woman was taken to the hospital for head injuries. Police are still looking for the attackers.
Get ready to pay even more at the pump. We're up to an average of $2.67 per gallon in Madison this morning. That's 11 cents more than it was a week ago. The nationwide average of gas is $2.69 and has gone up more than 50 cents in a little more than a month. Experts say we'll likely see $3 gas again sometime this year, maybe as early as May.
This winter's record cold, coupled with an abundance of temperature swings, have made potholes even more of a problem this year. The average repair can cost you anywhere from $300 to $1,500, depending on the make and model of your car. That's why AAA has some advice to save drivers money and frustration dealing with damage. Inspect your tires to make sure they're properly inflated. Watch out for puddles that might be disguising deeper potholes, and listen for any strange noises or vibrations. Madison street crews say they're working as quickly as possible to fill potholes. 6 crews are out every day, but in the meantime, these tips should help save you from damage.
Thank you, Christina. Speaking of the roads, let's get one more check on traffic with Josh Tim. Hi, Josh.
Yeah, still moving all right on the Beltline. Nothing major happening right now. Just the usual crowd beginning to show up westbound between Stoughton Road and West Broadway. Inbound John Nolan starting to tap the brakes at Rimrock, and then again at Olin Avenue moving toward the downtown area. And other routes, including the interstate, still moving along at the usual speeds with no major crashes or delays. Your first alert traffic, I'm Josh Tim.
Thank you, Josh.
We're still seeing plenty of sunshine for us here this morning. Temperatures are mainly in the 30s for a lot of folks. We are at the freezing mark here. As we go throughout the day, expect more sunshine and then an increase in cloud cover later on. Temperatures will top out into the low 50s, and then we are going to see a drop in temperatures for the weekend before we rebound towards 60 next week.
Good start to the weekend,
Absolutely.
Chris. All right, thank you. Thank you for joining us. Have a great day and a wonderful weekend.